Welcome, everybody. I'm inviting you guys to take a journey with me in on my new channel. Um, I'm entitling this channel "Ashes to Empires." Um, it kind of gives me the reason behind that is just it reminds me of like the phoenix, you know, being reduced to ashes by just regular life situations and things that may have been challenging and had the ability to break me in all of the best ways and reduce me to my rarest and my rarest form, only to then have God, life, the purity of my heart, the things that I was taught as a child all come back into play to rebuild me stronger than I have ever been. Um, and the realization that I had to be broken down and burnt to ashes to rise again as the phoenix and be able to keep all of the beautiful parts and burn away all of the things, all of the lies and all of the hate and all of the disappointment and things that I thought limited me for so long, but in actuality, um, which was really burning me down and taking me down to, my rarest form so that I can be rebuilt again. So um, we're still in the ashes. I mean, we progress from the ashes stage, and I'm expecting empires with you guys. So I invite everyone to watch my videos as you get to know me more and you get more comfortable with me. I invite you to comment, leave comments about things going on in your life, about things that may be challenging you or things that are on your heart, and let's explore them together. So just to explain a little bit, I was raised in a very unique environment. I had a mother who was amazing, and she had a duality. And I'm going to try to explain things, not saying that you guys don't fully understand. I just want to make sure that I break it down so that everyone understands exactly what I'm saying. Like, duality is the idea that two things exist at the same time. And my mother had a duality with her that I couldn't appreciate until I got older. But as a young person, she was the most loving, caring, nurturing, sweet, understanding woman, mother that you could ask for. Um, I mean, I say all the time, like, she loved me so much that had I never been loved by anybody again, it would have been enough from the love I received from her. She cried easily for movies, very sensitive, very caring, just a huge heart, compassionate. But then at the same time, she was a gangster. I mean, I have all sisters, so I guess she felt the need to be my father as well. And the way that she did that was she was tough. She expected me to fight. She expected me to defend myself. She expected me to defend my sisters. And there was no worrying about me being mismatched or being hurt. I was told, don't ever start anything, but finish everything. And that was her mentality. If I would get suspended from school or I would get into a fight, I wasn't automatically in trouble, depended on the situation surrounding that fight. And if she thought that I had a legitimate cause or reason to invest and defend myself, I wasn't in trouble. We would just talk about it. So that kind of gave me a license to embrace the fighter in me. I was also raised in a family of fighters. I learned how to fight from my sisters. They used to beat me up and we used to fight all of the time. So we were literally like a very tough family of fighters. It was in these early stages and living day to day with the duality of my mom that I learned how to embody masculine energy and feminine energy all in the same person. And throughout my life, that's made a lot of people uncomfortable. Like a man telling his male friends he loves them. Like, I know I could see it that would make my friends uncomfortable when I told them what they meant to me and things like that. I'm heterosexual. Not to say that there's anything against any sexual preferences or anything like that, to each his own. We live in a day and age where You have the right to be comfortable being who you are, and I totally, can get behind human rights. That's the way I'll phrase that. But having said that, I never took nothing either. You disrespected me, you upset me, you pushed me to a limit, you put me in a tough situation. I was going to defend myself, and if that came, to just physically defending myself, I was comfortable with that. I didn't win every fight, but it was never a fear. I had fought so much, growing up, and I had been involved in so many fights that the fear of losing a fight wasn't a fear to me, and I would fight you again and again and again, until we were able to get to at least a level of respect. So having those two things exist in the same person, it confused a lot of people, because some people would see the feminine energy in me and how loving and caring and nurturing, and I'm a sweetheart. I care. I'm R&B songs. I'm love songs. I only really listen to rap or any music, hard music when I'm working out, for exercise. I know how to love a woman. I love loving a woman. I love everything about women, so in relationships, love is my thing. I feel like love is the center of everything. And that's where I come from a lot of times. But then I think because of like the stigmas and things that society attaches to you love, it's easy for people to mistake that for weakness. I'm not weak. And that's always the surprise that I think a lot of people get. And I guess it depends on how you meet me. If you meet me in my masculine energy, you could think I'm a jerk. I've been called a bully at times and things like that. I'm not a bully, but I have been seen by many as being a bully. I've been seen by many as being violent, arrogant, dangerous, all of the things that come along with the idea of testosterone and masculinity and all of those things. And I'm not trying to put myself out there as someone who, is unstoppable or unbeatable or anything like that, but I'm as comfortable in my masculine energy as I am in my feminine energy. I didn't have my dad growing up. I met my dad maybe once, and again he met me in my masculine energy, and I was like, by the time I met him, my mother had already passed away, and he wanted to introduce himself and shake my hand and everything, and I said it was a surprise because I didn't expect to meet him. I'll talk about that in another video, but my response to him was, my mom needed you, and you weren't there. So as far as I'm concerned, when my mom passed away, without ever having help from you, I'm dead to you. There's nothing you can offer me. And I left. So I was raised in a very interesting environment. While I had so much love for my mom, I also was raised, and I have to be honest, I'm not gonna hold any punches, and I know I'm gonna have family members and friends and people that know my family to watch these videos, and I'm okay with it's full transparency at this point. I'm not apologizing for anything. My truth is my truth, and if you don't like it, I guess you could stop the video or watch something else. I couldn't care less. I was raised by a grandmother who didn't like me, and now that I'm older, I could probably psychologically dive into a million reasons she didn't like me. But as a child, I was very intelligent. I was very in tune with God. I was very in tune with myself, which is one of my gifts. And I think as you guys get to know me more, you'll see more of what I'm talking about. But all my gifts, I had them from a young age. So my mouth, oh my God, the things I would say and my responses could make it easy to not like me. You would like to believe that being my grandmother would be enough for you to have some patience and understand that I'm a child, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And I was raised by an enemy. I was raised by somebody who didn't like me, who didn't love me, and had no problem letting me know. I think that affected me in a lot of ways growing up. And none of this isn't a therapy session, or this isn't me trying to lay blame on my grandmother, things like this. This was just a situation. It's just an accurate assessment of what happened and how these things happen. So, with losing my mom, I was left to a family where there were some that truly did love me. Like my Aunt Janet was special. I'll definitely do a video on her. But those who, some who loved me, some who didn't. I guess I could be challenging in a lot of ways, as a kid. But what it ended up doing was it left a lasting mark on me. And I would say that it taught me that I was too much for a lot of people. So I learned very early on how to read rooms, how to read people, how to determine when I had to water myself down to be able to survive in an environment where I had very little to no control as a child. And I learned how to navigate. I could get up in the morning, and after seeing my grandmother for 2 to 3 minutes, I knew exactly how to behave around her to stay out of her way and stay out of trouble, and things like that. I didn't always choose to stay out of trouble. Excuse me, but those are the things I learned, from a young age as a child. One of the things I learned about myself, I'm naturally a disruptor. I'm not. I'm going to go into the room and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to see through a lot of the masks people are wearing and the things they're not saying, and I'm going to comment on them. And it's not just trying to be difficult. It's just naturally who I've always been. So to say the least, throughout life, it made it difficult for me in a lot of ways. It made it very challenging for me to just get along with people and be accepted, and those are some of the things I struggle with. I think it affected me to the point where I really. I also come from a family of foodies. We love food, and I have family members who were amazing in the kitchen. They could really cook. My mother was an amazing cook. My grandmother, for better or for worse, was an amazing cook. So I grew up loving food. I got it honest. But I think a lot of times when I didn't find the things that I needed in people and the love and affection that I hoped for in relationships and things like that, I turned to food at an early age and got to a point where, I just was morbidly obese and depressed and struggling with a lot of different things. So that's kind of like an introduction to my ashes a little. So those things spiraled out of control, and don't worry. If you stick with me and you subscribe to this channel and you get on board, there's going to be a lot of amazing things that I can uncover for you. One of my talents is that I see things for what they truly are. If you put me in a situation, and my situational awareness is outstanding, and my ability to express myself is also really, really highly in tuned. God is my center. He's given me a lot of gifts, and he's just recently in my life unlocked them, like all at the same time. So I'm really still adjusting. What else do I want to tell you guys? All of the things, what I recently learned is I thought people were picking on me. I thought the universe was picking on me. I thought, I would just get bad situation after bad situation. Maybe even for a while I felt like a bad person or just not good enough. And, all of the typical things. I don't really like to spend a lot of time on them things now, even though I will go in depth because I know there are people that still live in those dark places. But they don't even feel right on me anymore. I can't it was a dark place, and I'm very grateful for it. I believe that there's two different Adams. The Adam of old has passed away, and I know that's a little morbid, to say that, but he doesn't exist anymore. I'm a new person. He had gone through a lot, and he struggled with a lot, but he held it down. For better or for worse. Like he's always been successful. He's always done well. He's always had relationships and beautiful family, and I can't think anything he wanted that he didn't get. So it wasn't that he wasn't successful. It's just he was struggling because he wasn't ever really at peace with who he was. And now I realized all of that was preparation. 46 years of preparation. It's a long time. And I was tempted to be, I won't say tempted, because if I'm being honest, I was pissed at God for for long periods of my life. And I think because I knew how special I was to God, I would take it out on myself. As you know, it was like damaging or hurting his child, because I always knew I was his child. I always knew I belonged to God. He made that abundantly clear from very early on. So like things I would do to harm myself was in a way rebelling against him. But I realized as I've gotten older and as I've had my spiritual awakening and I've transitioned through so many things, I've learned that it wasn't the universe picking on me. It was like a boot camp. It was preparation. I had to make peace with my demons. I had to become homies with my demons. I had to learn to love every part of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, things that I was ashamed of. I mean, now the idea of shame to me is funny. I can't even imagine being ashamed of anything. But for a long time, I was ruled by shame and a lot of different things. So really it was preparation. And I didn't know that until it was my time and it was my season. And all the things that hurt became lessons. And not just lessons, but they gave me a knowledge that I didn't even know I was acquiring. It was like I was in school and I was taking notes and I was studying and didn't even know I was studying. My pain stopped being something that I feared and started being something that I would pick through for lessons and education and information. And that type of awakening helped me progress to a point where I realized that I was in preparation for what it is I have become and what it is I'm going to continue to become. So I stopped looking at haters and difficult people and people that I felt like didn't love me and wanted the worst for me. I started looking at them as disruptors. They were supposed to make things difficult because it was in that difficulty that I would grow and I would learn and I would really find out who I am. Like you don't really know your mettle until you down and out and that's all you have. You don't know how strong you are until the only option you have is to be strong or quit. And quit was never an option. I mean, I will go more into quitting and I'll definitely have more videos on that. But you don't really know who you are until you put to the test and you have to find out who you are. And I think the first part of my life was about me introducing myself to my strength, how much I could take, how much I could rebound from, how my heart never changed throughout it all. Like I could justifiably be a very mean, nasty, rude, bitter, just hateful person. I'm none of those things. I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm nurturing, I'm compassionate. I see love in everything. I see the best in people. It's easy for me to see God in people, even though I'm frequently disappointed in people, and I'm working on that, but it's easy for me to see God in everyone. It's easy for me to see the beautiful situations in even the darkest places, so I don't look like what I've been through. So I'm the phoenix that has risen, and this is my progression. I would say, I want to make sure I didn't forget anything. I think for the most part, that's what it is. My ashes to my empires. I'm excited about my empires. I'm excited about this journey. I'm excited to take this journey with you guys. I'm excited to uncover all of the beautiful things. I'm excited to uncover the darkest places. Nothing is off limits. I will admit I'll have to learn the parameters of YouTube and what I can and can't say. And, I guess that's a natural progression, a natural part of the journey, but I'm excited about all of it. I encourage you all to come along with me. And scared, hurt, disappointed, happy, sad, come with me. We'll uncover it together, and we'll get to a real level of understanding. So, to all of my new viewers, to everybody that's uncertain about whether or not you'll be one of my viewers, check in with me. I'll regularly put out videos, and this channel will start building. So thank you so much, and welcome to Ashes to Empires.